Welcome back to the deep dive. We're here, as always, to try and cut through some of the noise and pull out the insights you can actually use, right now.
And with AI, there's just so much noise.
So much. I mean, if you've spent any time at all looking into artificial intelligence over the past year or so, you know the atmosphere is it's thick.
It really is. It's all abstract concepts, theoretical papers, these academic experiments.
Right. And endless predictions about what's going to happen 5, maybe 10 years down the road. It can feel completely overwhelming. It feels like you need a doctorate in computer science just to figure out how to automate one simple task.
Let alone drive actual business value from it.
Exactly.
It's true. The signal-to-noise ratio in the AI world is it's getting pretty close to zero. Most of the conversations are focused on what might happen in some, distant, idealized future.
Or they're about these super specialized engineering challenges.
All right, things that just don't apply to the day-to-day operational reality of most businesses. I mean, the vast majority of people listening to this, the project managers, the executives, founders, the heads of different teams, they don't need more theory.
No, they need solutions.
They need solutions that generate a real demonstrable ROI today, not in 2035.
Exactly. And that urgency, that need for immediate quantifiable results, that's really why we zeroed in on the source material for this particular deep dive.
Okay.
We are looking at a platform called winningteamai.com. And the material, it pitches this site not as just another AI newsfeed or some theoretical hub, but as something much more focused. They call it an operations war room.
An operations war room. I like
Yeah.
that.
And it's dedicated entirely to answering that one critical, immediate question for leadership, which is how do we use specialized applied AI to solve tangible business problems in the current quarter?
Okay, so this is all about application.
All about it. And our sources, which are mainly pitch articles, some really detailed descriptions of their toolkits, and blog excerpts from the site, they give us a great shortcut to understanding this whole applied philosophy.
And what do they show?
They detail a very specific framework. It's built around AI insights, integrated toolkits, and these specialized assistants. And what's really notable is the tone.
The tone. How so?
It's very high energy, deliberately bold, really conversational. The sources basically say they're designed for busy people who need concrete guidance and, functional playbooks, not vague promises or philosophical debates.
Okay, so they're cut into the chase.
They are. And that brings us to the most important piece of context, really the foundation that frames this whole discussion. It's the key differentiator that this platform seems to hang its hat on.
And what's that?
We are not talking about a bunch of scattered generic AI tools that you use once and then forget about. We're talking about a fundamentally different way of looking at AI resources.
Precisely. And this is the core concept, and I think it's where everyone listening should really anchor their thinking. It's the proposition of treating AI agents and their toolkits as digital teammates.
Digital teammates.
Yes, they are deliberately pushing past this idea of having, a dozen different tools that all exist in their own little silos. Instead, they focus on integrated, role-specific packages that are explicitly designed to collaborate with each other, to synchronize and execute together toward a shared goal.
So it immediately shifts the conversation.
It does. It moves from discover, let's find a cool new app, to application. How do we deploy a cohesive, specialized algorithmic partner? And that right there is the essential, practical foundation for everything we're about to discuss.
Okay, so let's jump straight into section 1, which we've titled The AI Builders Lab. Because
Yeah.
it really is all about forcing this mindset shift from theory to teammate.
Right. And it's clear this is not a site designed for, AI hobbyists or just academic exploration. The promise is unapologetically rooted in practicality, tangible results.
So what's that foundational promise they're making?
Well, the sources establish it right away. They define the platform as a builder's lab, where the main mission is creating, deploying, and sharing AI agents designed to solve very concrete problems. And that's across pretty much every functional area of a business.
Like what specifically?
I mean, we're talking about systematically streamlining core workflows. We're talking about augmenting complex legal research, accelerating content creation cycles, optimizing intricate financial models. The underlying message is very direct. It's very motivational. It's basically whatever your organizational challenge is, we either have a specialized AI solution ready to go, or we have the framework to build one for you immediately.
That level of clarity, I mean, that immediately tells you who the audience is, doesn't it?
Absolutely. This is aimed squarely at leaders. It's for project managers who are carrying the burden of execution. It's for executives focused on operational excellence, founders driving for rapid growth, and, functional teams that are just looking for immediate efficiency gains.
So they're targeting the people who are just done with the abstract theory, done with the academic experiments that never quite translate into, what you can do on a Monday morning to get ahead.
Exactly. They want execution. And to execute effectively in this new era of generative AI, you really do need a new mental model for your resources. And this brings us right back to that huge conceptual pillar they're promoting,
The digital teammate concept.
the digital teammate concept. They argue that work is inherently complex, it's changing fast, and AI is no longer a luxury. It's the baseline. It's the requirement for staying competitive and, frankly, for managing organizational stress.
So let's challenge that a little bit. I think this is where the why of the teammate idea really matters. I mean, isn't this just sophisticated software? Why do they need to use the term teammate, which suggests, collaboration rather than just utility?
That distinction is actually profound, and it addresses a major organizational failure point. If you view AI as just a tool, like a calculator, the human is still fully responsible for the entire workflow.
Right, you have to do all the thinking.
All of it. The planning, the breaking down of tasks, the execution of the tool, and then integrating the results back into your work. But if you frame the AI as an algorithmic partner, a digital teammate, then the cognitive and administrative burden is genuinely shared.
So the software isn't just performing a single task.
No.
Wow.
It's designed to anticipate the next step, to communicate its status,
Hmm.
and to deliver its output in a format that seamlessly integrates with the next agent in the chain, or with the human workflow. That changes the psychology entirely. It goes from, I have to manage this huge complex project, to, we, my specialized agents and we're going to execute a successful outcome.
That completely reframes the relationship. It elevates the AI from being a simple utility, like you said, a calculator or a spreadsheet, things that just augment your work, to an actual collaborator that shares the burden.
Yes, and this is key. They emphasize that the solution to all this complexity and overwhelm is not just hustling harder. That's the culture in so many fast-paced organizations, and it leads to burnout.
So the answer isn't more human effort.
No. The source material emphasizes that the solution lies in systematically working with AI teammates. And this is a profound, almost therapeutic shift in organizational psychology. The platform's message is unequivocal, and it's highly marketable. It's, you should never walk into a project alone again.
Wow.
You walk in backed by a cohesive, specialized, high-performing digital unit.
I think we need to stay on that psychological implication for a minute, because it really gets to the why this shift is so profound. When a project manager or an executive faces a massive, undefined challenge, the initial stress is just breaking it down. How do you turn this overwhelming goal into achievable steps?
That decomposition, yeah, it's a huge cognitive load.
Right, and a human colleague can help share that load. So if the AI is framed as a teammate that handles that decomposition for you, that stress immediately transfers from the human to the algorithmic partner. And that, I think, more than any efficiency gain, is what drives adoption.
Absolutely. It fundamentally changes the nature of the human's role. You go from being the coordinator of all the tiny details and the sole source of structure to being the strategic director and the quality checker.
And that leads directly into how they actually deliver this, their delivery model.
Yes. We mentioned that so often AI adoption stalls in big organizations because it requires a massive, complex IT project.
Six-figure budgets, long procurement cycles, deployment timelines measured in quarters, not days.
Exactly. And WinningTeamAI.com explicitly bypasses that entire bureaucratic hurdle. They offer AI as a really accessible service layer.
How does that work in practice?
The sources detail a membership-style hub. It's a curated set of high-value tools and strategic guidance, and it's all delivered via a subscription. They cite pricing examples like, say, $50 a month for a complete toolkit suite.
Which is nothing for a business.
It's an operational expense. And critically, this structure transforms sophisticated AI implementation from this expensive, top-down organizational overhaul into something that's a low-friction expense for an individual or a small team. It removes the need for all that bureaucratic approval and puts the power to deploy high-value AI directly into the hands of the people who actually need it.
The people doing the work.
The people doing the work. And that speed of deployment, that democratization of power, is crucial for getting results today. It's a tactical entry point for AI adoption, not some grand strategic one that takes years.
Okay, so let's unpack this next part. The platform doesn't just give you a toolbox. It's actively trying to drive the conversation around where AI is fundamentally changing how we work. So Section 2 is all about their thought leadership, which, as we said, has this very distinct high-impact edge.
It does.
So what are the major strategic themes they're exploring in their content?
Their blog catalog basically serves as a functional strategic map. It shows you exactly where AI is colliding with work structures, with corporate strategy, and with organizational culture. And they deliberately avoid staying in just one safe, technical, or functional silo. That's a key part of their strategic foresight.
Let's dive deep into theme 1 then, the evolution of multi-agent ecosystems, because this feels like the crucial technical and conceptual shift that gives that whole digital teammate idea its power.
Absolutely. They have articles with titles like The Evolution of AI Assistants into Role-Specific Toolkits and the much bolder coordinated multi-agent AI ecosystems.
So what's the core argument there?
They argue, really persuasively, that the future of work is way more complex and capable than the simple model we have now, which is basically one human using one general-purpose chatbot. They have a powerful, nuanced case for the necessity of AI teams for human teams.
Okay, but this is where we need to get a bit more mechanistic, right? We understand the outcome is collaboration, but how's it work? Is this just a bunch of customized GPT prompts stacked on top of each other?
That's the right question to ask. And no, it's more sophisticated than that. The real intelligence is in the orchestration layer, which is kind of the unseen hero of these multi-agent ecosystems.
The orchestration layer.
Right. So while the agents themselves might run on customized large language models, maybe custom GPTs, maybe fine-tuned open source models, the intelligence isn't just in their individual ability, it's in their ability to speak a common language and adhere to a unified workflow structure.
So you're saying the agents have to be trained not just on their specialized role, but on how to hand off structured data to the next agent in the line.
Precisely. They're trained to pass inputs and outputs using structured formats, often things like JSON or YAML, or even just very consistent template-driven natural language. This ensures continuity. So the human team leader isn't coordinating 4 different pieces of software. They're managing a digital unit.
And is there something overseeing that unit?
Yes. It's often overseen by what you might call a supervisor agent, the orchestrator. This agent manages the flow. It makes sure that Agent A finishes its decomposition task before Agent B starts tracking timelines, and that Agent C only generates the presentation after all the project details have been finalized. It's that interdependence and that synchronized handoff that makes them a team, not just a collection of tools.
That level of interoperability, that really justifies the claim of being a teammate. The AI is handling the interdependencies of the workflow, not just the isolated tasks. And that frees the human from that painstaking administrative work of synchronization.
Yes. And crucially, the platform doesn't just present this as theory. This entire structural framework is directly tied to their actual products, like their flagship Project Manager AI Toolkit, which bundles 6 specialized agents designed to collaborate in exactly this way.
Okay, let's move on to theme 2. I was immediately struck by their focus on the human side of all this AI, culture, and change management. They don't shy away from the real anxieties and resistance that teams face.
No, they use those feelings as a catalyst for adoption.
How so?
They meet that fear head on. You see posts like, "From fear to freedom." AI is a support system, not a replacement. They're designed specifically to tackle that inherent employee anxiety about job replacement.
And for the leaders who are worried about causing a panic.
Exactly. For the leaders who aren't sure how to introduce sophisticated AI without causing immediate internal resistance, the entire focus is on lowering the barriers to adoption by getting the culture right first.
And the central thesis they keep coming back to is so beautifully simple, but it feels revolutionary in today's corporate world. AI should reduce stress, not create it.
Is a profoundly important and radical stance. The source material highlights their flagship article, How AI Toolkits Are Redefining Workplace Efficiency and Reducing Stress, with all the exclamation points.
Of course.
And it frames the entire journey as a transition from overworked to overachieving. By systematically outsourcing that cognitive and administrative complexity to these digital teammates, they're offering a really compelling practical answer to the systemic problem of workforce burnout.
That's a great point, because if AI just adds more tools to manage, more alerts to check, more complex data to interpret,
Then adoption fails. It inevitably fails, no matter how good the tech is. But if it verifiably reduces the need for the human to deal with the most stressful, repetitive, context-switching heavy parts of a project, then adoption becomes culturally inevitable.
So the AI adoption conversation shifts. It goes from being an IT mandate or a financial optimization project to an HR and wellness initiative.
Yes, it changes the incentive structure entirely. It becomes, if I adopt this, I don't just save the company money, I save myself 10 hours of misery every single week.
And that's a powerful motivator.
It is. Now, Theme 3 shows that the platform isn't just focused internally on efficiency and culture. They actively push leaders to think critically by tackling policy, strategic risk, and the big picture questions that come with this kind of technological dependency.
Right. They don't shy away from the hot button topics.
Not at all. We see articles like The Great AI Business Debate, Genius Move, or Walking into a Tech Trap. This is a sophisticated discussion that goes way beyond simple efficiency gains. It forces leaders to weigh the strategic risk versus reward when they build core operational functions on top of third-party AI models.
What kind of risks are they highlighting?
Things like dependency risks, vendor lock-in, data security implications, the speed of model obsolescence. It's asking the hard question: is your reliance on AI a competitive advantage, or is it a future structural vulnerability?
They're making leaders really consider the long-term consequences of adopting AI at scale, the potential for the institution to become fragile if the underlying tech changes or fails.
Absolutely. And they zoom out even further than the boardroom. They address societal and infrastructural impacts, take their discussion on ethics and education, framed in the piece AI in the Classroom: Cheating Shortcut or Smarter Learning.
What's the nuance there?
Well, the article explores the difference between, say, using AI for summarization, which can just bypass learning altogether, versus using AI as a sophisticated, personalized tutor that adapts to a student's weak points and generates endless, tailored practice scenarios. It forces a really important ethical and pedagogical distinction.
And then there's the critical discussion about infrastructure titled The AI Energy Crunch Power, Water, and Politics. This is where they force leaders to acknowledge the physical reality behind their digital tools.
This is a crucial piece of foresight. It zooms out to the immense resource demands required to run and train these massive AI models, the vast amounts of electricity, and surprisingly, the huge amount of water needed for data center cooling.
So it's about the physical footprint of AI.
Yes. The article likely explores how geographical factors, like proximity to sustainable power or water availability, will increasingly become strategic business decisions for companies that need dedicated AI infrastructure. It turns AI from a purely digital thing into a material, geopolitical one. It forces leaders to consider the long-term cost and sustainability of their compute strategy.
So the goal of all this content is to make leaders think about what it means, socially, operationally, environmentally, politically, to build a business that relies heavily on AI. It's not just about next quarter's efficiency gain.
Exactly. This content stream acts as a kind of comprehensive risk management and strategic foresight service.
And we have to tie this all back to how it's delivered, that intentional style. All this complex thought leadership is delivered in that conversational, bold, short format. The sources say 3 to 4 minute reads.
And that style is not just branding, it's a functional tool in itself. It ensures that AI literacy can actually succeed where overly technical or vague content fails, because busy professionals will actually read it. They'll internalize these actionable, high-impact insights. They really respect the listener's limited attention span.
All right, this is where it gets really interesting. We're moving from the conceptual roadmap into the concrete application. In Section 3, we see how that vision of the digital teammate actually turns into a deployable product. Let's start with their flagship offering.
The Project Manager AI Toolkit. It is the perfect embodiment of this entire philosophy. It's designed to be an immediate force multiplier for any project-based organization.
So that could be an external consulting firm, an internal IT department.
Right, or creative agencies, project management offices, PMOs. It fundamentally moves beyond generic help to deep, highly specialized, role-specific support.
And this isn't just one tool, it's a power stack of 6 specialized agents that work together, right? Forming a ready-made digital project team.
That's it.
So we need to detail exactly what each of these 6 teammates brings to the table and how their coordinated action justifies those massive efficiency claims they make.
Absolutely. Let's break down the 6 functions and see what their specialized contributions are. The first is the core operational agent, the PM assistant.
The backbone.
It's the organizational backbone. It handles the fundamental stuff: task management, project structure, tracking dependencies, milestone management. It basically ensures all the data generated by the other 5 agents is correctly filed, dated, and tied back to the master schedule.
Okay, so that's the foundation. Then you have the agents that are focused on transformation and clarification. This is about turning human ambiguity into machine executable structure. The design accelerator sounds fascinating here.
It is the ultimate bridge between that creative, often vague human input and the clear, structured outputs that you need for execution. Think about a common scenario. A stakeholder says, we need a more modern website layout that feels dynamic and uses our new brand guidelines.
Which means nothing to a developer.
Exactly. It's too qualitative. The accelerator takes that messy human idea and transforms it into specific, actionable inputs for the design and development teams.
Can you give an example of what that output would look like?
Sure. It might output something like A/B test creative copy variants focusing on tone A and B. Required deliverables include 3 distinct aspect ratios for mobile and desktop rendering. Ensure all final assets are delivered in vector export formats for scalability, adhering to hex color palette 4B. It makes abstract requirements completely concrete.
It eliminates that painful back-and-forth communication loop that just plagues design projects. And relatedly, the task breakdown agent tackles another core PM bottleneck, converting high-level strategy into actual work.
This agent is critical. I mean, the biggest time sink in project initiation is often creating that detailed work breakdown structure. A leader provides a high-level strategic goal, say, implement the new GDPR compliance module, and the task breakdown agent converts that into a clear hierarchical list of tasks, subtasks, dependencies, estimated hours. It even suggests the roles required for completion.
So it saves hours of manual decomposition.
Hours. And that's usually where a project manager's deep work is spent right at the beginning of a project.
So we've covered organization, planning, and structure. Next, we have the human interface agent that deals with the constant drain of communication, the meeting note generator. This sounds like a major stress reducer.
I think we all recognize the pure misery of post-meeting transcription. You've just spent an hour in a high-intensity meeting, and now you have another hour of manual note-taking, trying to synthesize key decisions and translating these nebulous discussions into concrete action items.
It's the worst part of the job for many people.
It is. This digital teammate eliminates that entire burden. It captures the conversation, assuming it's integrated with the meeting platform. It summarizes it instantly. It highlights key decisions and even disagreements. And most importantly, it transforms those discussions into structured, assignable action items.
Which can then be fed right back to the PM assistant.
Immediately. It routes them to the PM assistant for scheduling and tracking. It transforms conversations directly into workflow structure.
Okay, but projects inevitably hit technical snags, so they include the IT troubleshooter.
This specialized assistant is crucial. It prevents the human PM from becoming the default technical help desk for the team. It assists with common technical blockers, configuration issues, it can explain error codes, and just general issue resolution.
So it's the first line of defense.
A rapid, specialized first line of technical support. It reduces context switching and allows the project manager to stay focused on scope, budget, and timeline, rather than getting bogged down in low-level troubleshooting that can derail an entire afternoon.
And finally, to close the loop, you have to communicate the results to stakeholders, often executives who just need the summary. That's the presentation builder.
Yes. The presentation builder takes all that accumulated, structured project data, the status updates, milestone completions, risk logs, next steps, and it packages them instantly into clean, executive-ready decks and summaries. It handles the onerous, repetitive burden of status reporting, which can easily eat up half a day every single week for a busy PM. It makes sure reporting is consistent, data-driven, and timely.
Okay, so when you look at those 6 agents working together, from organization to ideation, from breakdown to reporting, you start to see why the platform can make those huge claims that we talked about earlier. Let's unpack that ROI. Saving 15 hours per week and reducing project delays by up to 40%. Where does a number like that even come from?
It becomes justifiable when you actually calculate the accumulated time spent on these highly repetitive, non-strategic tasks. The sources likely base this calculation on the common bottlenecks that traditionally eat up 20–30% of a PM's time.
Let's break that down.
Okay. Task decomposition, using the task breakdown agent. That alone can save 3 to 5 hours right at the start of a project. Meeting transcription and action item synthesis with the meeting note generator. Conservatively, that's another 3 to 4 hours a week across multiple meetings.
Okay, that's already a full day.
Right. Then add status reporting and deck creation with the presentation builder, 2 to 3 hours of manual data gathering and formatting. And finally, context switching and troubleshooting, which the IT troubleshooter prevents. I mean, preventing just one major context switch per day can easily save you 3 to 4 hours a week in lost focus.
So by automating all that administrative and structural overhead, the PM is freed up.
Completely freed up to focus on risk mitigation, stakeholder management, scope creep, the human-centric tasks that actually prevent massive delays. Reducing project delays by 40% becomes plausible not because the AI executes faster, but because the human leader is now spending 100% of their strategic time on the high-leverage activities that keep the project on track.
That analysis really shifts the ROI from just being a marketing claim to a functional outcome. Now, let's pivot to Deep Dive 2. This is a tool that seems a bit more adversarial, but it's critically important for strategic resilience. The Devil's Charmer.
What if the name is something else?
It is. It sounds a little gimmicky, but its use case for high-stakes business strategy is genuinely profound.
It's arguably one of the most intellectually valuable tools for strategic executive thinking,
Yeah.
especially if you're in a competitive or regulated environment. The Devil's Charmer is billed as an AI debate champion. It's designed to intentionally rip apart any stance, expose weak logic, and pressure test your arguments from every possible angle.
So how does it do that? I mean, just calling it a debate champion is a little shallow. How does this AI achieve that kind of sophisticated rhetorical sparring?
Well, it operates by using several advanced analytical frameworks. First, it likely uses comprehensive logical fallacy detection. It doesn't just argue against your point. It systematically identifies holes in your premise, your analogies, your causal reasoning. It'll call out an ad hominem, a straw man, a false dilemma.
So it's a logic engine.
And it's a master of scenario-based stress testing.
Yeah.
You feed your pricing strategy, and it doesn't just say, this price is too high. It assumes the persona of a powerful competitor, or a hostile regulator, or a cynical financial analyst, and then it constructs these high-pressure arguments based on those specific threat vectors.
So if I give it a new product marketing message, the Devil's Charmer will attack it not just from a business angle, but maybe from an ethical or regulatory angle, even if that's outside my immediate scope.
Exactly. It forces you to preemptively consider criticisms you hadn't even thought of. For executives, product leaders, strategists, and especially for legal or governmental affairs teams, this is crucial. Instead of waiting for critics or investors to poke holes in your plan, you subject your entire narrative to a preemptive, high-pressure attack internally.
So you're basically paying the AI to be your company's toughest, most well-informed critic. You stress test the idea in a safe environment before you roll it out and face real-world financial or reputational risk.
It ensures the strategy is hardened and defensible from every conceivable angle. If the Devil's Charmer can rip it apart using comprehensive, fact-based arguments, you know you need to go back and fix those flaws before the public or your competition finds them. It's strategic de-risking through advanced rhetorical sparring. It transforms the value proposition from just being efficient to being strategically resilient.
That is a truly high-value use case. Okay, moving to Deep Dive 3. The platform emphasizes vertical and role-specific agents. This connects back to the idea of scalable expertise. The idea is that AI should always be tailored, never generic, because generic solutions just fail when things get complex.
That specialization is the key to encoding expertise. And we see this through some very specific, highly niche examples that really underscore the breadth of the platform's ambition.
Give us those specific examples. We need to visualize the tailored nature of these digital partners.
Okay, think about the complexity of highly regulated or procedural roles. They talk about the flight attendant success coach. This is an AI trainer designed specifically to help aspiring or current flight attendants master mandatory safety announcements, emergency scripts, and customer service scenarios. It provides consistent procedural training that ensures compliance and service quality.
Wow, that's specific.
Or, on the IT side, the Cloud Database Pre-Migration Scheduler. This focuses entirely on the complex planning, dependency mapping, and pre-flight checks required for massive IT infrastructure moves, where a single misstep can cost millions of dollars.
So these aren't generalists at all. They're highly specialized digital mentors and compliance experts.
And that specialization is where the scalable business value is. These agents encode procedural knowledge, internal best practices, and required regulatory compliance into repeatable, consistent workflows. For any organization, that means dramatically faster onboarding for new staff because the AI is the trainer.
Right, and more consistent training outcomes.
More consistent outcomes because the hero employee isn't the only source of knowledge anymore. And critically, it reduces dependency on those internal heroes, the one or two people in every company who hold all the specialized tribal knowledge in their heads.
So it's about institutionalizing that knowledge, making expertise scalable across different geographies and time zones, and ensuring that everyone, from the rookie to the veteran, operates at a top performer level of consistency and quality.
Yes, that's a massive driver of consistency, quality, and ultimately business continuity.
So the utility of these toolkits, we know it extends well beyond just the project manager role. In Section 4, we're looking at how this platform envisions AI supporting the wider business landscape, essentially functioning as a scalable service layer across the entire organization.
Yes, and we need to expand on this because the key advocacy here is not just for individual tools, but for coordinated toolkits that mirror real business operations. The complexity of a business isn't isolated to one person or one department.
It's all interconnected.
Exactly. It involves multiple roles and multiple workflows interacting constantly. So the AI solution has to reflect that coordination and integration.
Let's detail how the sources advocate for this kind of integration across several major functional departments. We need to go beyond just a single sentence for each and really elaborate on the specific problems being solved.
Okay, let's start with finance. For finance teams, specialized AI toolkits are deployed not just to automate the routine, high-volume stuff like generating monthly reports or processing invoices. That's table stakes for automation now.
So what's the next level?
More critically, they function to proactively detect anomalies in real-time cash flow or purchasing patterns.
So it's like an audit function, but immediate and predictive.
Precisely. An AI agent might detect a sudden, statistically significant variance in vendor spending or identify a reporting mismatch that a manual review would only catch weeks later during the reconciliation process. This capability transforms the finance team from being reactive data processors to being proactive risk managers and strategic forecasters.
And I imagine that accelerates things quite a bit.
Dramatically. It accelerates closing cycles and reduces the likelihood of costly manual errors or even fraudulent activity passing by unnoticed.
Okay, what about in marketing? There, the focus shifts to speed, segmentation, and personalization at scale.
Marketing teams face constant pressure to generate content, to segment their audiences, to iterate on campaigns really quickly. Integrated AI agents allow them to accelerate the time from concept to deployment.
So what would a toolkit for a marketing team include?
An AI toolkit here might include agents for dynamic copywriting, for real-time A/B testing recommendations, and for specialized customer segment analysis. This kind of integration enables the team to deploy, say, 10 or 15 targeted micro-campaigns in the time it used to take to launch one big, monolithic campaign.
And that gives them a huge competitive advantage.
A key advantage in digital engagement and conversion rates.
And what about the internal support functions like HR, where process and compliance are so important?
HR teams benefit immensely from toolkits that are focused on candidate matching, on onboarding, and on internal knowledge management. For candidate acquisition, AI agents can screen thousands of resumes against highly specific criteria, reducing screening time by over 80%.
Wow.
And it can also analyze for cultural fit indicators based on past successful hires. Then during onboarding, AI assistants can handle all the repetitive compliance checks, the form filling, the FAQ answering. This ensures every new hire gets a consistent, efficient introduction.
Which leads to lower time to productivity.
And a reduced administrative burden on the HR staff themselves.
Okay, and finally, customer support. This is often the first place AI gets deployed, but how does this playbook envision a coordinated toolkit approach here?
A coordinated approach moves way beyond the simple chatbot. Here, the toolkit might involve a Tier 1 inquiry resolver agent that handles the massive volume of routine requests, but it's integrated with a knowledge-based compiler.
And what does that do?
It constantly updates the FAQs and procedural guides based on the escalations that go to human agents. This leverage ensures that human agents are freed up entirely for the complex, high-value problem-solving.
Things like dealing with unique technical failures or high-stakes retention issues.
Exactly. And that increases overall customer satisfaction and lowers operational costs at the same time.
So when you look at this whole array of specialized, coordinated tools and the blog content driving the mindset shift and the explicit ROI claims, what it really feels like is a ready-to-go AI playbook and operational toolbox for the professional.
That is the most accurate description possible. Winning Team AI isn't just providing components, it is providing the instruction manual, the strategic context, and the organizational rationale. It offers real examples of AI fulfilling specific, critical roles. It makes concrete claims about hours saved and delays reduced. And crucially, it delivers toolkits designed specifically around actual common business functions that are proven bottlenecks.
It's not conceptual.
It's not. It is a direct operational guide engineered for immediate application.
And we have to finish this section by reinforcing that bold tone and that literacy angle, that conversational, bold, short writing style. It's not an accident.
It is engineered to ensure AI literacy succeeds, where overly technical or vague content fails. The goal isn't just to educate, it's to trigger actionable change by providing insight in the most digestible, efficient way possible.
That brevity, the 3 to 4 minute reads, is really a profound concession to the busy professional's reality, isn't it?
It is. They understand that if you are a project manager carrying the weight of deadlines and scope creep, you don't have time for a 5,000-word academic analysis of transformer models.
No, you need the 5 key takeaways and the tool to implement them this afternoon.
Exactly. The platform's entire style and structure are engineered for immediate consumption, rapid internal discussion, and direct deployment.
So let's synthesize the journey we've taken through this playbook. We started by acknowledging the overwhelming noise in the general AI world, and we found winningteamai.com positioning itself as the applied antidote, the operations war room.
Right.
And the critical philosophical shift is moving from that abstract academic AI discovery to applied, integrated, bundled AI toolkits, with the 6-agent project manager toolkit and the strategically essential Devil's Charmer as our prime examples.
And I think the platform's success is built on that systematic fusion. It's the high-impact thought leadership, especially on the necessary culture shift, emphasizing stress reduction and resilience with tangible, deployable products.
So it's a combination of the right mindset and the right tools.
Bundled not as software, but as fully functional, collaborating algorithmic partners.
And if we boil it all down to the core belief of the platform itself, the underlying message that should really stick with you, the listener, what is that final compelling takeaway?
The core belief, which is beautifully summarized by the philosophy of this playbook, is that the real winning team is not humans versus AI, but humans with AI. This symbiotic partnership is the path to genuinely reducing organizational stress, dramatically increasing execution speed across all functional boundaries, and finally seeing actual, measurable, verifiable ROI from AI investments instead of just talking about the potential.
So it's a direct call to action.
It is. Stop walking into complex projects alone when a 6-agent specialized team is available for immediate deployment.
And that leads us to the provocative thought we want to leave you with today. We heard that these highly specialized bundled AI agents designed around specific bottlenecks can save a single department 8 to 15 hours per week of high-stress administrative work. I mean, that is immense leverage.
So consider this in the context of your own professional life. What highly repetitive, high-stress, complexity-laden procedural knowledge in your current role, that thing you do every week that just consumes hours of brain power, but could be systematized and encoded, which would be the very first candidate for being outsourced and automated by a specialized digital teammate. How quickly could you fundamentally transition your team, or even just yourself, from being chronically overworked to overachieving if you systematically outsource that complexity, that administrative burden, and that technical synchronization to a 6-agent coordinated algorithmic partner? The playbook has shown the path. The question is, how fast do you deploy your winning team?